Hi, good morning, welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna make this intro really quick because I don't want anybody to look at me. I'm obviously in my car. It is currently like 8 in the morning and my Target just opened. Obviously you guys already know by the thumbnail. Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, the third book in the Fourth Wing series, is releasing today and I just had to get it before work. I need to be able to read it whenever I can today throughout the day as soon as possible. I feel like there's a person in the car next to me, so this is really awkward. Yeah, I'm gonna go in there and we're gonna go get the book. I can't make eye contact with you guys because I have to be nonchalant. You are currently on my phone. Hopefully that's a little bit better. As you guys can tell, we secured her. Apparently, people were like lined up as this Target opened. Let me start from the beginning. I go in there, I go to the book section. Onyx Storm, nowhere to be found. I was like, poop. I saw Fourth Wing and I saw the label for Onyx Storm and it was empty. I was like, shit. They're out. I'm looking, I see these two girls holding sprayed edge books. And I'm like, those black pages, I can smell them from a mile away. So I asked them, I'm like, where did you find those? Are those the last ones? And she was like, right here, girl, right here. And she was standing right in front of this, like, I guess advertisement box in the middle of the aisle where people are walking. So instead of them being in the book section, it was in the, not the aisle, but like the walkway. And it had these books and it was empty on one side. And she was like, here you go, girl. You found it. You secured it. And I'm like, thank you so much. And I grabbed it and I'm like, have a great day. And I hope she does have a great day. And then I went to go check out the line that I get in. The man in front of me is buying 2 Onyx Storm books. I overhear him saying to the cashier, yeah, like, my girls asked me to come get this before it sold out because they're busy and they weren't able to come get it. And I'm like, oh, we love a supportive father. Because you know Violet's dad would have done the same thing for Violet. Yeah, now we're back in the car. The back says it's $32.99, but I got it for $24. $24 for a special edition first print hardcover book? Say less. Say less. I didn't spoil myself. I tried really, really hard. I saw that it was a little bit over 500 pages, about like 520 something. I'm gonna devour this thing. Devour. And I'm so excited for you guys to come along. If you guys are watching this video, I'm assuming you've read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. If you have not read those books, please do not watch this video. Go watch my other videos and read those books. Buckle down because we're gonna have a good old time. Look, wow. My adrenaline is rushing. I'm not even cold and it's like 10 degrees out. I'm not cold. Obviously I have a jacket on, but I just flipped through the pages up to the prologue. And guys, I'm so excited. Like, I'm so excited. I think it was perfect timing, the fact that I was in a slump for over half a year, and when I come back, week and a half later, Onyx Storm comes out. Like, that's perfect timing. Barely even had to wait at that point. He isn't a soulless Venom. He's still Xaden, my Xaden. I knew I missed this series, but like getting back into reading it, I realized how much I actually missed it. Like the banter between Violet, Taryn, and Andarna is so good. Andarna is so funny. The way her attitude towards Taryn is so funny. Like, and yet your wings miraculously carry the burden of your ego. If anyone else said that to him, dead. I love her. I love her. I love him. People argue that the writing isn't great and it's like cringy at times, but like, let loose. Have a little fun. Not every book has to be like a classic, you know? Like, just have fun. Sawyer. I literally forgot. I don't know how I forgot about Sawyer. Okay, I basically got to a part where fourth wing and first wing are kind of like bickering. Not bickering, it's a little bit bigger than bickering, but I freaking love Reddock. Like, he's so funny. The way he spits back, like, oh, well, I don't want to be proud of your wing because you produced Jack Barlow. He ate with that. Why did he eat so hard? I cracked up. I actually laughed out loud, like, damn. In this serious moment, you really threw that in their face. As you should. As you should. Things are getting good. Things are getting real juicy. I love when a main character is confident. I love that. It's just so much more fun to read. We just learned something new. New revelation. How do I go to sleep if that's the way the chapter ends? The answer is I'm not going to sleep. I have a theory. I can't tell you what that theory is, and I can't tell you what the theory is for, but they're figuring out a 6-letter word. And I think I have a theory on what the word is. I'll let you guys know if my theory was right. The main thing I want to say for this update is that it feels so good to be back in this universe. I know the writing isn't gonna be for everyone, and the writing can be a little cringy, elementary sometimes to some people, and that's okay. Sometimes it cringes me out a little bit, but not to the point that I don't enjoy the series or I don't enjoy the books. So I get it. Just be kind to the people that do, because at the end of the day, reading a book is just for fun, you know? Or, I mean, I guess people read it for knowledge too, but that's besides the point. I am currently on page 161, chapter 19. I don't even know where to start. There's just so much going on in my head and so much going on these pages. I am really enjoying it. Seeing these characters again and the found family and the plot, everything is thickening. I will be honest, the first 20 pages maybe, I was like, who is that? Like, when they say a name, I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about. Who? Who are you talking about right now? Like, this is not a real person. The more I read, the more I remembered. To be fair, I read Iron Flame, I think at the beginning of 2024, and now it's 2025. So it's been an entire year since I read that book. A lot of little details that I didn't fully remember until it got brought up again, which is totally fine. I just think maybe if you want a refresher before reading Onyx Storm, like, read like Spark Notes of Iron Flame, or even better if you read Iron Flame and then jump right into Onyx Storm. That is glorious. I didn't, and I was a little bit confused, but I got right into it. The pacing is really good. It's not too fast, and it's also not slow. Like, I enjoy every moment, and it feels kind of more like Fourth Wing. There are plots and tropes coming up that I'm really interested in seeing how it plays out. I love a jealousy trope, but like, I can't have the jealousy trope be too long because then it gets annoying. So it needs to be the perfect length. I'm on page 143 right now. I'm like almost halfway through the book. I low-key want to slow down on my reading just so I don't finish this book so quickly, because I don't want to be done. I'm like scared to find out what the ending is, because I don't know if you guys keep up with Rebecca Yarros like that, but on TikTok I've been seeing a lot of videos. There's one where she's like, oh, the last page is my favorite of Onyx Storm because I've been thinking about that ever since writing Fourth Wing. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean you've been planning the ending of your third book while writing your first book? Like, what am I getting myself into right now? Right now I'm enjoying, and I'm scared to be sad. I know things are gonna go to shit. This is the third book and we still have 2 more books after this. Is it Riddick or Rydok? How do you guys pronounce his name? I say Rydok. In my head I say Rydok. Riddick? Rydok? Anyways, I love him. He's always been hilarious, and I love the Iron Squad. It's such a good found family trope. Onyx Storm, he is really shining through with his jokes. I'm like scared if anything happens to him. Guys, I'm currently reading, and I'm not gonna tell you what page. Hold on, this is angled really badly. I haven't been recording myself reading that much because, I don't know, I've just been going through it, and I don't remember to pick up the camera and film myself reading. But now I know that I need to film myself reading because something's about to happen, and it's like, what's the saying? Do or break? Or whatever the saying is. I'm about to have a breakdown. You wanna say hi?
It's so dark in my room right now.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. tell them this, and I'm gonna tell them this. That if this happens tonight, if this actually happens, I'm closing the book.
Oh my god, I stopped breathing.
Shut up.
What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at his reaction. Garrick. What the heck? No, but that happened so quickly, and we were just laughing.
And I was giggling so much.
Well, no, we can't end there.
Kendall says the next chapter is 9 minutes.
Okay, period.
Okay.
I'm not ready for the more intense parts. Like, I'm sad, obviously, but I just know there's gonna be worse things. I'm scared! Why is Rick asking? Guys, what the hell? That makes a lot of sense. You go, Andarna. Why is it that mirror showing up breaks me? I was holding it in. Okay. It's currently 11 p.m. and I am on chapter 56, page 462. We're a little bit over 60 pages away from the end of this book, and I am one, nervous, and two, a little confused, or a lot confused. I don't know, there's just a lot going on, but then there's also things that I can't talk about that's going on, so I literally do not know how to update, as you can see. So far, I'm still really enjoying this book. There's just a lot of questions, and what I've realized with Rebecca Yarza's writing is she tends to put in so much information, but then kind of briefly answers. So she'll give you 10 different questions and then she'll answer 2 of them. Obviously there are 2 more books after this, so I'm sure more things are going to be answered, but it's just so bare minimum sometimes that it gets frustrating because you have so many questions, you answer 2 out of 10, and then you get 5 more questions on top of that. And I understand that that might be what she wants because this is war and because the history has been erased, so you're trying to figure it out with the squad and with Violet and them, but it's just so much that sometimes we find ourselves just talking in circles and being like, okay, well, there really aren't any hints on this or that, and the theories get so complicated. I will say I am really proud of us because we did figure out some theories and some of them have been confirmed already to be correct. As you can tell, I am losing my mind as I'm reading this book. We want to try to get this book finished, not because we want to finish the book, but because there's just so many questions that we want answered, and I don't think we're gonna stop until we finish this book tonight. I'm terrified, yet also really excited. I am enjoying the book. I just wish Rebecca would fill the holes as we go along faster than she has been. There's actually no way that just happened. I think this is real. I think this is for real. I'm not even gonna lie, I think this is for real. What do you mean? Oh. Can't we just have a nice picnic? Oh, this is so stupid. I'm also thinking that. Where did this come from? No way. There's no way that's how it ends. I look like a mess. I'm going to bed. We can talk about this tomorrow morning when I have all my thoughts collected, but I have a lot of feelings. I have a lot of questions. You know what? We'll just wait until tomorrow when my head's a little clearer. Okay. It's been a couple days since I finished Onyx Storm. I was buddy reading with my best friends Jasmine and Janelle on FaceTime. I kid you not, we sat there. We sat together on FaceTime for 2 nights. Not consecutively, but wait, actually, I think they were back to back. You know what? It doesn't matter. The logistics of it does not matter. We sat together and we read about 55 to 60% of the book together. And that was really enjoyable. It was really nice to be able to talk to people in real time as you're reading the same chapters and getting reactions and kind of bouncing theories together. Since this video is a non-spoiler, I'm gonna go over my review, and then towards the end, I'm gonna give you guys a full spoiler review. So the people that haven't read this book yet, you guys have a chance to leave after this review. And then if you have read the book and you want to know my theories and my thoughts, stick around and we're gonna get into it. Let's just begin with saying that unfortunately to me, Onyx Storm was a little bit of a disappointment. I would not go as far as to say I did not enjoy the book or I hated the book, because I did really vibe with the story. I loved being back in the universe. I loved the characters. I think the pacing was great. I loved how there was always something going on and more questions that you wanted to be answered, so you kept going through the pages. I enjoyed it overall, but there are some points that I feel a little disappointed because this is the 3rd book in a 5-book series. I felt like this was to stretch out the story where it didn't need to be stretched out. I think I read somewhere that this would have been a trilogy, but because Fourth Wing did so well, they ended up deciding to make this a 5-book series. I think that was the wrong move to make personally. Obviously, this is all subjective and opinions. I just don't think we needed this book the way it played out, I guess is my way of saying it. So Fourth Wing was great. I loved the concept of going to this academy, learning about the dragons, becoming a dragon rider, and just, you know, having the world building as you were going through school and training with Violet. I loved that. It was a lot of fun. The pacing was great. I just really, really enjoyed it. With Iron Flame, I really liked that we dove into more of the politics of the world. We dove into more of the revolution and just different characters, and you met more of the world. You weren't just in Navarre anymore, and I really enjoyed that world building. I did not like the miscommunication trope. It was a little bit repetitive at times, but overall I enjoyed it. With this one, I feel like there was less of a structure, if you will. So there's a main plot and then there was a subplot. And I understood that, right? But as we kept going on with the story, it felt like we were sort of sometimes missing the plot. This is really hard to describe without spoiling anything, honestly. Just know that I felt like we were getting 10 questions and answering 2 and then getting 5 more questions and then not answering any, and then you get the ending of the book and you're like, okay, clearly this was a book to stretch out to the other books where you will get the answers, hopefully, because you barely get anything in this book. I think what Rebecca did was she made these issues or these questions a lot bigger than the answers were. So you felt like, wow, this is gonna be so monumental. These questions, once you answer them, they're gonna be like mind-blowing. It's gonna help the plot so much. But I didn't feel that way. I felt like there were so many different things that they were trying to figure out, or like different questions. When you get them answered, you're like, oh, well, that was a little bit underwhelming. So you spent a third of the book, half the book, most of the book talking about this one thing or like these things, but then the answer was given to you in a paragraph? Question, question, question. Here's your answer. That was a little bit underwhelming. I think with all of this, I'm just trying to say, when I'm reading a book, and obviously when it's a really long series, don't get me wrong, I've read fantasy novels, I've read really long series. I don't mind having questions, but when the questions that are answered are so underwhelming and so okay, it makes the book feel unrewarding. I went through 527 pages and feel like I didn't learn that much. It was great to learn about the world outside of Navarre. It was great to learn more about dragons. It was nice to dive into more of Violet's family. But when I say these things, it's not like we dove that far. It was very shallow. I'm hoping it goes more in depth in the next few books. Again, I'm not saying this book was bad or I don't like this book at all. I vibed with it. I enjoyed it. I just have some critiques of why did she do the things that she did, but she's the writer, so. I thought about it, I slept on it, and I'm gonna end up rating this book a 3.5. I feel like when people think of under 4 ratings, that means people don't enjoy the book. No, I still really enjoyed it, and it's an above average rating. I just didn't like it as much as the other 2 books, and I know that might be a little controversial because people didn't like Iron Flame, but I actually enjoyed it. I liked the world building and the politics. Did not like the relationship. Speaking of relationship, let's talk about Xaden and Violet in this book. I understand that this is an adult fantasy book and there's gonna be spice, which is fine. Doesn't matter to me. I just think that Rebecca lost a lot of the tension in the relationship. This is the 3rd book in the series and we already know that they're in a relationship. So there's no anticipation and there's no rooting for them because you already know they're gonna be together and they love each other. Great, awesome. But as a reader, I would like to have that tension and questioning in my head as a reader. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I like to not fully know that they're gonna end up together or like don't know how this is gonna end. Right now I'm like, okay, they're pretty predictable. Xaden's gonna do whatever he needs to do to protect Violet. Violet will do the same thing. But we need someone out of the 2 to prioritize the greater good rather than just each other. I get it. It is a great love story if both of them are like, I will do anything for you. I will destroy this world just for you. Like, I get it. That's a great epic love story. But it just makes it a little boring. It makes the characters predictable. They don't have any conflict within themselves. And when it's both of them doing that, it's like, okay, well, what am I reading this for? Like, just run off together or something, you know? I wish that there was more tension. She missed a really good opportunity to make the relationship really tension-filled and with a lot of pining. She missed it. I think she tried to put that tension in, but it wasn't there because they always ended up doing stuff anyways because there's spice in this book. And I will say, this might be an unpopular opinion, but the spice in this felt really out of place. It felt kind of forced, kind of like a quota that Rebecca needed to meet. Like, oh, I need to put this in or the readers won't enjoy the book. I don't think that's true. I think the readers, no, I will not speak for everyone. I guess would have enjoyed it more if she kind of dragged on the tension, really made it forbidden. We shouldn't, but then being convinced like, oh, it's okay though, because you love me and I love you and blah blah blah, so it's okay, we're gonna be okay, and then ended up having spicy scenes and I'm like, okay, what about saving the world though? What about saving the world? I would have rathered had one spice scene or no spice scenes in this book. Honestly, I would have been okay with that. Them pining for each other and then have all of the time for plot learning more stuff. I wished Rebecca kept this as a trilogy rather than a 5-book series because it feels like we're just trying to meet a quota. Like, it was fun to read, but like, why do we need it? You know? That is it for the spoiler-free part of the video. So if you guys haven't read this book, just go ahead and skip to the timestamp right here. Protect yourself. Protect your sanity. And now we're gonna go into the spoilers. Riddick, obviously, star of the show, carried. And Darna, Taryn carried. They were so funny this entire book. And I just love, love, love the found family trope. So I love Iron Squad. If anyone dies in Iron Squad, I don't know if I can carry on. I don't know if I can carry on. Riddick, that scare when he got stabbed by the chef. I was like, no, please. He lived. He's fine. Poor Traeger. I will say, I was like, anyone but Riddick. And they really did do anyone but Riddick. Dane's slap was funny. I do think going to the Isles was a lot of fun and gave us a little bit more understanding of the world. I really liked how each isle represented a god, and they were they were really unhinged. Like, I thought Navarre and Basgiath was really unhinged for, you know, killing off riders when you need people. But no, they are unhinged. The further you got to each isle, the more unhinged they were. Like, why? Why? And then Zayden's mom popping up, I'm like, okay. I did ask before I read the book, where's Zayden's mom? She's not dead. She just left him. So I feel like she's got to pop up somewhere. And lo and behold, she pops up with 2 kids and a husband in a different island. That is so messed up. I felt so bad for Zayden. But then nothing really came out of it. Like, they had dinner, they did some poisoning, and they dipped. Like, that's all we're gonna get out of this? I was really confused. And then when Traeger died, I'm like, okay, cool. At least we're gonna have more information and we're gonna get stuff out of this isle. It just like time skips. It just says, oh, we talked to the queen. She gave us 40 soldiers. That's it. I would have liked that conversation. I would have liked to get to know more of this isle, or like, you know, like just a little more depth to the world. I don't think I know anything more about Xaden and Violet than I did in the last few books. Violet is the daughter of Lilith and Asher Sorengale. She has a brother, she has a sister, she's bonded to 2 dragons. She was gonna be a scribe. Her dad told her fables. We knew her dad was training her to be a scribe, so like it wasn't surprising that he left her stuff to find about all of this information. That wasn't really like that surprising to me. Xaden, son of a rebel. There's just like no depth into these characters, and that's a little bit sad. Like, we don't know much about Riddick. We know some about Rhee. We don't really know much about Sawyer. Like, I would just love to know more about these characters, so when they do, if they do, please, Rebecca, do not. But if they do end up dying, it would feel more painful, I guess, because with Liam, it was like, oh, I have a little sister I'm trying to protect, and she's coming in next year, blah, 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 and then he dies, and you're like, oh, his sister, like, that's so heartbreaking. Even that is more, you know? When Quinn died, I was sad for Imogen, but I was like, okay, better Quinn than Iron Squad, I guess. Traeger died, and I was like, poor cat, but better him than Iron Squad, I guess. At this point in the story, the death factor isn't as shocking anymore as it was in the previous books, because before it was like, oh wow, like Rebecca will kill off anyone. But now I'm like, okay, well, we know people are gonna die. We know people are gonna die. Prepare yourself. Don't get too attached. But I want her to make us attached. I want her to be like, oh, this character is a father of 2. This character used to tell his daughter's stories, and like Asher's story would have been great to know more about Asher. Be like, he had kids, he tells them stories, he did all of this, blah, 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 he planned all of this, he loved Violet so much, da, 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 da. Dead. Oh, I would have cried for that. I would have cried for that. Theories with the ending of this book. I think Bodhi is the other Venom. How many times we get scenes of him and Xander arguing. Xander? Where did I get Xander from? Xaden. Just scenes of him and Xaden arguing back and forth about who's gonna be the heir and like in charge of Terrandor. So I feel like Bodhi is going to follow in his footsteps and be like, if you're Venom, I'm Venom. Because I'm gonna be your right-hand man. If you fully turn, I'm gonna be right there with you, brother. As for Eric, or Arik, however you guys pronounce it, I think it's Arik. His signet being able to tell like the future depending on decisions, I guess, was surprising and yet also not surprising. From early on in the book, I will say I did not catch the links one, or Lynx. That whole scene of Auric pulling Lynx back before the door even like remotely moved because he somehow knew that that was gonna happen. That one I did not catch, but later on, the different scenes with Auric was suspicious, and like I knew it was his signet. Me and my friends theorized like, oh, like he just knows stuff. He can't just know stuff, you know? So it has to be his signet. So when we found out he's a precog, it wasn't that surprising. I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So when we were given that out on a silver platter, it wasn't like earth-shattering, like, wow, oh my god, I didn't see that coming at all. Because there was so many times he was like, oh, go protect the temple. Why? Garrick being a distance walker, that one was like, oh, what a pleasant surprise, but it came out of left field. It was just written in, and you're like, okay, cool, we'll just take that. I'm fairly sure the dragons know a lot more, and they have things planned out a lot better than they are telling humans. The history of the Irids is kind of interesting. I like that they're kind of the peacemakers of the dragon breed. Oh, I broke my heart the way they talked to Andarna. Like, it was not her choice. Like, you cannot leave. It's like leaving a baby in a community where they are all like very brutal and all their culture is fighting and being strong, and expect that baby to grow up and be like, I want peace. I don't want to fight. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Like, be so fucking for real right now. Like, you didn't leave her a mentor of your breed, so how do you expect her to be peaceful in a den full of dragons that are ruthless and powerful? Like, that just does not make sense to me. So for one Irid to be smart enough to be like, okay, maybe we should give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe we didn't go about this the right way. Only one of them? Are you kidding me? Oh, one of them? That is so stupid. I was so sad for Andarna because she was so excited to meet her kin, you know, her family. Not even family, just people like her. That made me so sad. Made me so sad. Which we jumped to Andarna leaving. Like, that was the only time in the book that I cried. I did not cry for Krager. I did not cry for Traeger. I did not cry for Quinn. Even though they were sad moments, I did not cry for them. I cried for Andarna because all she wanted was a chance with them, and she was getting this chance, but now she has to break the bond. That made me so sad, more so for Andarna than Violet. Like, I understand Violet's losing a dragon and losing that bond, and it's really hard for a writer, but for Andarna to have to leave people that she's known for all of her life, like, she hatched for Violet, and she bonded with Violet, even though you are not, writers cannot have two dragons, but here we are. And we learned that Andarna is magic herself. So, like, I really liked it because it gives you new information about the Irids. The Irids are pure magic dragons. So they are able to break and make bonds, which are so interesting because she bonded with Violet when all odds were against them. So, and she's able to break bonds, which brings us to the point at the end of the book where Xaden goes full on Venom, you know, and is like, oh, I'm gonna ask her for help, blah, blah, blah. And Sigale is like, okay, we'll ask, but if she doesn't say yes, then blah, 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 it's not gonna go right, and we're gonna need to figure something else out. But we know that Violet probably agreed because the whole, you know, I will do anything for you. But why is Andarna back? Why is she just suddenly back? It was just so confusing. Like, it just came out of nowhere. She just came back. I can't think of any other reason than the fact that Andarna needed to be there to break Sigale and Terran's bond or mating bond. So Xaden can go and leave, and Sigale and Terran do not have to stay together, because I think the longest time they went without each other is maybe like 7 to 10 days. She just suddenly appeared right there. Like, it felt really like a fever dream. Things were happening and I'm like, why? What's going on? I think that they broke the bond because Xaden is leaving. I think they got married because Terrandor needs a leader. It's not going to be Bodhi. Bodhi's gone with Xaden. So at the very last chapter, when Andarna said, I will not let them burn you, I'm assuming they're going to interrogate Violet because they already know what Xaden did. Why are they also battling Venom and doing all of this without the kingdom, without the king and his army and the other riders? Like, these are all cadets and some of them are lieutenants. Where are all the other riders? What about the rest of the kingdom? Where is the king? Like, we're just doing nothing at this point, except for these kids that are meant to still be in the college defending your kingdom. I understand that Xaden went against the king and opened up his borders for refugees, but that does not equate you fully ignoring the fact that city in your kingdom is being attacked, and ultimately if it goes down, like, it's not gonna be good. You're still letting your people die. It's so weird to me, I guess, especially because your son, the prince, is a part of them. You're just gonna let him die without any help. It just feels really off. That feels really off. So I just like, what interrogation? What kind of footing do they have on these people that have separated to try to protect everyone? I think that was another really big issue for me, was why are we all still in Basgath and going to school when we should be training and preparing for this war with the Venom? I understand that like first year cadets still need to go through it, but what about the rest of them? They don't need to be going to school and going to physics. It just seems so stupid. Like, we should be training actively for this event, and then maybe they can go back to school. It's just, we need the people for the war and all of this, so why? A lot of it did not make sense towards the end. I'm like, it's just, a kingdom would not be functioning like this, I don't think, in my humble opinion. So 4 riders, their dragons, and 3 elders murdered in the valley, in which we've estimated in the last few hours. And we still have 5 riders missing. 4 now. 5 riders missing. They found Violet, so 4 more are missing. Xaden, Bodhi, Garrick, and Auric. Xaden obviously left because he's a Venom now. Bodhi left with Xaden as his right-hand man because he is also Venom now. Garrick, he's a distance walker. They stole the 6 eggs. They're taking it to Umbriel, I think that's how you pronounce it. The one where the queen said, I want 12, 2 of each breed, but they got 6. I'm assuming the dragons agreed. If the dragons in the Empyrean did not agree, maybe it's Sigale's eggs. I doubt that, I really highly doubt that Taryn and Sigale would agree to that, but who knows. Auric, he's been helping, he knows what's gonna happen, and either he and Xaden already like planning this entire book together, or he wants to help this cause for the greater good, and he's helping negotiate stuff with Garrick, with the eggs and all of that. So I think those are the 4 missing, and it's very clear the reason why Violet's memories are wiped by Imogen is because she's a liability. There are people, I'm sure, not just Dane, that are intrinsic and are able to grab her thoughts or memories or whatever. So as a precaution, they erase Violet's memories. Now, I don't know exactly how she's gonna get them back to find Xaden and know the plans and stuff. Maybe Dane hones in on his abilities and is able to grab it out of Imogen or out of Violet, who knows. But how I think Xaden is gonna be cured, I really think Sloane is going to be a really big part of it, because Sloane is a siphon. From what we saw, she was able to siphon strength from Dane to Brennan, which is crazy. Like, we've never heard of that. They did that because Brennan didn't have any more power. So I'm thinking, like, well, the whole point of Venom is them channeling and siphoning magic from the earth, from the source. What if Sloane is able to take that power or take magic and give it back? Would that not reverse the effects of being a Venom? I thought about that when I finished reading. I'm like, that's an interesting thought, because why would they bring in Sloane for Mira? Like, there was no reason other than like a shock value to have Mira on the brink of death and Brennan not be able to save her, but Sloane helping ultimately was the reason why Mira got to live. Why did we have that scene if it's not going to come up again? I feel like if Sloane keeps honing her power, it could be the reason why Xaden can be helped or saved. As for Violet's signets, she's a dreamwalker and she's, quote, a lightning wielder. I feel like lightning wielder might be a stretch. I think she may be just a wielder of power, and that's how she, like, she's just purely magic, because Terran 1 is incredibly strong, but then Andarna as a dragon, her breed is known to be just magic. And I know that technically and Darna's signet for Violet is the Dreamwalker, which is really cool, but I don't think that's it. I think Violet is just pure power, and I think that would play really well into Sloane and Xaden putting magic back into the earth to save Xaden. I don't know if that's like far-fetched or like really unhinged, but it makes sense in my head if that was the way it was gonna go. The dream walking thing, it's another one of the arc situations where you kind of saw it coming and you're like, okay, well, her signet must be something about dreams because some of her dreams did not make sense. When you just find out that she's a dream walker because she finally talked to Xaden about the nightmare that she's been having for however long, he's like, oh my god, that's my dream. I'm like, oh, of course it is. I wasn't really like, oh my god, she's a dreamwalker. It was more like, oh, yeah, okay. I do think that people might not see it as a really dangerous power. She is an intrinsic and it is really dangerous because if she hones that power, I think it's a really strong ability to go into someone's dreams and nightmares and manipulate them and get the answers that you need without them even able to defend themselves, because like Xaden said, you can't shield when you're sleeping. She's gonna be able to get so much information. Theories I have. Don't have anything for Mira. I think Mira needs to suck it up. Like, girl, you're not the book girl. Stop keeping secrets. You went to grandma. What did grandma say? This is war times. Brennan, I thought Brennan was gonna betray, but who knows? He might still betray them. Riddick nothing, Reed nothing, Sawyer nothing, Justinian nothing, nothing, yeah. I don't have any other theories about the other characters at the moment. But that's everything. And this has been a really long review. These clips are really long, so if you've stayed this far, thank you so much. I hope the fourth one we get more answers to a lot of the questions that I have, at least. I'm a little disappointed that I didn't love it as much as the other books, but it's okay, it's fine. It is a book in the middle of the series. I feel like once the other books come out, I can better judge it, but as of right now, the book is sitting at a 3.5 star. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this reading vlog, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!